Welcome in to Titans Tube. Once again, everybody, thank you for joining us. I'm Justin, this is Jake, and we are going to be previewing the second matchup in 3 weeks between the Tennessee Titans and Indianapolis Colts. And Jake, the first matchup, I think a lot of Titans fans had hit a pretty low point, an ugly special teams performance where that game kind of derailed everything. But both teams coming out last week, coming up with huge wins against quality
in overtime. Yeah,
both in overtime. So still, here we are again with the same record as these Colts to determine who's going to take first place in the AFC South late in the season. Jake, how you feeling about this one? I'm already getting sweaty palms just thinking about the game. It's giving me super
all good. Me
too
too.
Right now. Yeah.
We got a new background, trying to switch up maybe some superstition there. Who knows?
Yeah,
we kind of rearranged some things in the filming area, but thank you. We're just trying out some new things. We'll see if this one sticks or not. If the Titans start winning with this background, then it's going to have to stay, obviously.
Never change.
The last game, the last game against the Colts, I truly, wholeheartedly, it might be Titans fan bias, but I kind of think it was a little fluky. I thought the Titans were in a good spot in that game all up until the Trevor Daniel shanked punt, and that's when just the wheels really, really fell off the team. The Titans had a 4-point lead at halftime, opened it up, got a huge goal line stop on 4th down. They kind of had some momentum, but the offense did have some problems going up against that vaunted Colts defense, who we will get into is dealing with some of their own injury problems. I know this Titans team's a little beat up heading into this one, as they were last week against Baltimore. But we'll see. We'll see how this matchup shakes out. I'm feeling okay, Justin. On a scale of 1 to 10, how good am I feeling? I'm at about like a 6.
Right, right about in the middle, but slightly confident, going into this. Yes. There's some definite factors that we'll get into that are going to be different from the first matchup, talking about injuries and all that. But like you said, this vaunted Colts defense, the Titans things fell off at the end of the last game from the special teams mistakes. But once again, and the Colts proved it again last week versus Green Bay, is that they completely shut them out in the second half. I think the Colts or the Packers did end up getting a field goal in the second half, but no points for the Titans in the second half in that first game. Which is kind of an odd thing because this is a very good team in the second half, and we've seen several games this year where the Titans offense really finally starts to get it rolling. We saw last week against the Ravens, so we'll see. We got to see more, sustained, consistent offense for 60 minutes against this defense. But kind of getting into it here now, Jake, do you want to talk about particular matchups here? The Titans passing offense going against this Colts secondary.
Yeah, we're going to do this preview kind of a little differently than we usually do it. Obviously, Titans played the Colts, 2 weeks ago. So a lot of the stats were very similar. So we kind of know who this Colts team is, especially if you're a Titans fan watching this channel and things. We'll dive into this pass defense last week. They gave up 311 yards, 3 touchdowns, but they did intercept Aaron Rodgers 1 time. Early in that game, Aaron Rodgers was great in the first half. Packers offense looked like, a typical Packers offense against this Colts D early on. But you did bring it up. This Colts defense makes those adjustments at halftime, held Green Bay to, I think, 3 points in the second half. And that goes to show this Titans offense cannot take its foot off the gas if they do have a lead. The Packers had a 14-point lead in the second half last week. Yeah. Now, was that a touch fluky with all the turnovers and fumbles that the Packers had? Maybe you can make that argument. But still, this defense is good at making those halftime adjustments. This Titans offense is going to have to stay creative and keep their foot on the gas. Khari Willis in the secondary, safety for the Indianapolis Colts is questionable, but I've read some things that expect most of their questionable guys to end up playing on Sunday. So I wouldn't read too much into that. Adam Humphries on the Titans side of the ball is still out in concussion protocol despite practicing all week. I thought he was kind of trending towards playing, but
he's been practicing, right? So I was kind of expecting him back too, but man, that's like 4 weeks, and I feel like that's a long time for a concussion. And I know, playing it better safe than sorry, of course, with that kind of an injury, because that can be a dangerous thing. But still 4 weeks out, 4.5 games, I think, because I was at the end of the first half against the Bengals. That's a long time to be out for a concussion. That was a ugly hit. So
yes, and it wasn't flagged. I mean, I think he did get fined, the guy who laid it on him, but no flags in that one. We're past that though. But yeah, Adam Humphries,
clearly not. Yeah,
Adam Humphries is still out in this one. Hopefully, he will return to action next week, though. It's kind of looking that way. But yeah, you mentioned it. The Titans in the second half offensively have been putting it together more so than their first half performances. The Titans scored on their last 4 offensive drives last week against Baltimore, if you don't count down the kneel to run out regulation, which is great. You love to see that from this Titans offense. They finish, they get it done when they need to have it. Now, albeit in this game, the Titans cannot settle for red zone field goals like they did against Baltimore. I believe they had 2 red zone drives that resulted in field goals from Stephen Gostkowski. Thank God he made them. They could have wound up with 0 points instead, but Gostkowski was able to knock those through. But for this game, one of my major I know we're getting into keys early here, but the Titans cannot settle for field goals, especially when they're in that red zone against this Colts defense, because you don't know when you're going to get that opportunity to get back to scoring position and things like that. So, we know Ryan Tannehill has been great at this in his time in Tennessee. So I just want him to play to those strengths, be good in the red zone, no turnovers, especially on the opponent side of the field. So I would give the slight advantage maybe to the Colts passing defense, because they have been good throughout the year. I mean, this is still top 3, maybe even the best defense in the NFL. So I give the slight advantage to the Colts, but I would like the Titans offense to continue that kind of trend we saw last week in Baltimore and coming alive late.
Yeah, and I'm definitely looking forward to the follow-up game between or with A.J. Brown and Corey Davis. Both of our top 2 guys, kind of popped off all in the second half last week against the Ravens, and you gotta see that continue against the Colts. A.J. Brown's got to consistently start fixing whatever's going on with his hands in the past few weeks. Huge dropped pass in that first game against the Colts that could have put us up 14-0, and we could have been seeing a different outcome. But I don't know. Colts came back down 14 against the Packers, so that was still clearly a game up in the air. But got to see these receivers win these matchups against a pretty tough secondary with the Colts. But I agree. Yeah, we can give them the matchup advantage there. As we transition here now to the Titans rushing attack versus the Colts rush defense, and here we go again, the strength on strength matchup here. Derrick Henry coming off a classic signature moment for him, walk off touchdown run against the Ravens last week. You got to think he was going to pop one eventually, and we could be finding ourselves in a game kind of similar like that, kind of a grounded out game. They could be containing Henry for the most part, and then late in the game he could really start wearing him down and popping off. And I don't know, this could definitely be he did get 100 yards against this Colts defense last week, right? So, or 2 weeks ago.
Correct.
But, this could be another big Henry game as well, maybe even early on, because DeForest Buckner, catches COVID. I mean, and he is such a huge piece of that defensive line, and he's been ruled out for this game. So that's a huge win on the field for the Titans. Hopefully, COVID obviously not anything to be happy about someone catching, but that's just a huge blow to this Colts defense. And not just him, but Danico Autry, their team leader in sacks, is also in the concussion protocol. Got put on the COVID list earlier this week, or was it this week or last week? He did play last week against the Packers, didn't he?
I believe so, yes.
He might have. But yeah, he played in that first game against the Titans. Both of these guys did, and had good games. Autry got a sack on Tannehill, so that could be another big blow to this front seven. And surprisingly, Bobby Okariki was out. I didn't realize that he had gotten hurt in the Packers game, but they're starting outside linebacker, a good player for them on that great 3 linebacker core that they have with Darius Leonard, Anthony Walker, Bobby Okariki. So another player on this front seven. Derrick Henry's not going to have to be running into here. So, Titans are also banged up on the offensive line. So we'll see what kind of follow-up we get at left tackle with Ty Sambrailo going on IR. So I think it's David Quessenberry. Is he the guy we're looking at?
Yeah, David Questenberry is going to be stepping in this game. Most Titans fans know him as catching the touchdown pass against the Colts last
Yes.
year in the home opener from Mariota there. So yeah, Questenberry stepping up. He's familiar with this offensive line. He's familiar with the system. Hopefully he can come in and be a Sam Braylo type replacement who can kind of step right in and do somewhat of a good job. But yeah, these injuries on the front seven are going to do nothing but help Questenberry step in here.
Yeah, I think you can say that he has the Colts number. I mean, he does have that receiving touchdown against him, so he's already got a leg up.
Start him in your fantasy league.
Right, yeah, pick him up on fantasy. He did come in last week against the Ravens, and I think I saw the stat where he had 18 snaps, but no pressures allowed. He didn't have a blemish in any of the snaps he was taking. So we're looking at, Questenberry being our guy for the time being for the rest of the season. So it's going to be a big game for him to come in and step up. Who knows what's going on with Isaiah Wilson? Is he going to play at all this year? Not looking like it. I mean, we're getting really thin on the depth, so we might be forced to play him at some point. But I don't know. I think this could be a success ground game for the Titans here, given the injuries. But this is still the Colts, Jake. I mean, this is a team that is just in our heads more than anything. And I mean, it doesn't matter if Phillip Rivers and T.Y. Hilton and Darius Leonard were all out. I would still be worried about this game. But on paper, it looks like this is a matchup that the Titans can exploit here, given their injuries and COVID additions.
Yeah, no doubt. We've been talking about it for the past few weeks. I brought it up. That calendar is about to turn to Derrick Henry's favorite month of the NFL season, and that is December. We just celebrated Thanksgiving. Hope everybody had a happy Thanksgiving. Me and Justin had exchanged pleasantries beforehand, but Justin, happy Thanksgiving.
I did not exchange the pleasantries at the beginning of this video. I apologize. That's not holiday-like of me. Yeah, you said it, though. Hope everyone had a good one there.
All good. But yeah, getting back into it. It's about to be Dehember, as some fans call it.
I like it.
And we kind of saw it last week at Baltimore. It's getting to that formulaic, body blow, 3 yards and a cloud of dust kind of offense in the first half. But then when those defenders start getting a little winded towards, the end of the year, end of the games, you see Derrick Henry's yards per carry come up. I think, he almost had 100 yards in the second half and overtime last week against Baltimore, somewhere around there.
Right.
Seeing a return to that formulaic late in the game, Derrick Henry dominance. And so yeah, I would give us the advantage here. Look for that to continue, and especially with Buckner, Autry, and Okariki all being out. That's only going to help this rushing attack in this one.
All right, yeah, that's advantage on advantage. Or one advantage for us, one for them there. Titans pass defense next against the Colts passing offense. More of the same, I think, injury-wise. I think we're not adding anyone or missing anyone, and same goes for this Colts offense as well.
Yeah, so I do want to open up this segment for the Colts passing offense with just an admission of my own wrong opinions. And Phillip Rivers has been great for this Colts team. I was not a big fan of the signing coming into the year. I laughed it off. I can't wait to dominate Phillip Rivers in this division and see him kind of moan and whine and god dang heck, all that stuff.
Right.
But he has been a great pickup for this Colts team as a bridge quarterback where they can remain competitive and they can kind of plan for the future. Yes, he's older. Yes, it's more of a rental situation. But Phillip Rivers has come in and played at a very high level. So I got to give him that. Phil Rivers has been a good quarterback this year, no doubt. However, he is coming into this game dealing with a toe injury. He's a questionable on the injury report, but I fully expect him to play. I fully expect to see Phil Rivers. But that toe injury, caused some pressure. You can make him pretty uncomfortable back there, especially with a quarterback using their legs and their feet so often back there in the pocket. Zach Pascal, the wide receiver, is questionable, but again, said it at the top, expect most questionable tags for the Colts to play. I would think so, as well as the Titans, especially with a huge divisional match. Different from the last time we saw the Colts, Titan killer Jack Doyle is back in action at tight end.
That is a different roster change. That they do have that they didn't have the first time around. But so that's bad news. bad news, Jack Doyle. Not again.
Especially with Jaylen Brown on IR, our key linebacker who usually is in coverage on these tight ends. So if you have Jack Doyle in fantasy, actually play him. You might want to have Questenberry as your backup this week at tight end. So start Jack Doyle because it could get rough there. But I will give the secondary a shout out. Breon Borders has been playing great opposite Malcolm Butler. I thought the secondary as a whole had a great showing last week against Baltimore. They were there breaking up passes, making plays.
Yeah.
And kind of making.
Yeah. A great addition so far. Yeah. This pass defense is, like you said, starting to knock down passes. We have not been seeing that for the first half of the season. So better play out of them. Sorry. Yeah. Keep going.
No, all good. No doubt. Yeah. Shout out Desmond King. And Kenny Vaccaro is going to be back in this game. So that's only going to help back there at safety. I thought Amani Hooker played a great game last week. You might see Vaccaro kind of playing a little less, perhaps. I think he was concussion as well. So we'll see how that shakes out. But Vaccaro will be active for this game. And Christian Fulton, we don't know yet. We're filming this Friday night. We'll find out probably Saturday afternoon if he is going to be back in this game. He was designated to return off of IR. So we'll see if we get him back. That, again, only helps the depth in this secondary, who does seem to be maybe putting things together. I would like to see Kevin Byard make a few more splash plays. Yes, he had the breakup in the end zone, but he had to make up some ground to go get it. And like I said at the top of this segment, this pass rush needs to get home and make Phillip Rivers uncomfortable. You saw what happened 2 Thursdays ago when Phil Rivers was back there baking cakes. He'll pick you apart. It doesn't matter how old he is, how much his toe hurts, man. He will tear you apart if you give him time and you don't make him uncomfortable. So if you make him uncomfortable, get him sacked once or twice, get that toe to kind of swell up a little bit. Maybe he'll throw you an interception and maybe we can see a splash play from Kevin Byard. So it's all going to come down if this pass rush can do what they did against the Baltimore Ravens last week, which I thought was, they only registered 1 sack, but they made Lamar Jackson uncomfortable back there. And that's what they have to do against Phillip Rivers in this game, Justin.
Yeah. A few times, Lamar Jackson flushed out of the pocket. Phillip Rivers is not going to be doing that whatsoever. But one key player and one key matchup I would like to hone in on is Jaylen Brown is going to be a huge loss for this defense. The last matchup against the Colts, Nyheim Hines was a big problem in the pass game. He had 45 receiving yards. It felt like more than that, plus a touchdown. So he's just a huge, weapon for them in the passing game that they use pretty frequently. And without Jaylen Brown, what do you know? Here comes Will Compton, dude. The boy himself is suddenly. It's so weird.
For the boys.
It's so crazy how much can change in a year. Whereas like last year, I don't think he was on a roster for a while. He was waiting for a team to give him a call to bring him in. And I think he was on the Raiders, from November till the end of the season. He's fighting for a roster spot here. Injuries happen. And what do you know? The boy himself is starting in a huge game for this Titans defense. It's going to be a big game for him. And I think he has the communication duties as well, because that was what Jaylen Brown did for us, right? So a lot of pressure on the boy. I mean, he's got a lot of exposure because of his podcast with Taylor Lewan. So a lot of people going to be watching him for this game. So, I'm excited. He's not as fast or as athletic as Jaylen Brown, but I think he understands the game mentally. He's going to give 150, 200% out on the field. Like he's probably hyped to play this game. So kind of nervous to see Will Compton out there running around starting with his defense, but I have faith. Hopefully, he's got big responsibilities. Locking down Nyheim Hines, probably trying to cover maybe some tight ends here and there. Jack Doyle versus Will Compton, perhaps a few times. So, we'll see how that shapes out for this Titans defense.
Definitely, I feel the same. Almost a carbon copy of what you said, man. I think Will Compton's going to come into this game fired up. It's just the kind of way he presents himself, at least. And I think he is a very smart football player. His head's going to be in the book all week. It's going to be interesting to see how he does match up against Hines out of the backfield in the passing game, as well as Jack Doyle. I could just see it right now. The Colts have like 3rd and goal from the 2-yard line. It's going to be a play action, and Jack Doyle is going to be wide open in the end zone. I can already see it in my head. But hopefully, there's not too many of those situations. So yeah, I'll give the advantage to the Colts passing offense for this one. But man, oh man, oh man, number one on this list is make Phillip Rivers uncomfortable. Number one key to the game is pass rush has to make some sort of difference.
Yeah, for sure. So moving on here to getting close to the end of our last categories, Titans run defense versus a Colts run offense, which is not their bread and butter. Their bread and butter is Phillip Rivers, quick passing, throw it to the running backs, tight ends, quick slants to the receivers. Yep. Fast-paced offense. Jonathan Taylor still back there. But yeah, this is not a run first team, not a staple of their offense. Titans did pretty good against them the first matchup, I believe. I know last week the Titans, I think, did better than we could have expected or hoped for in shutting down Lamar Jackson running the ball. And J.K. Dobbins did gash us here and there a few times, but no big plays. And I think that's the key for this run defense. Don't let just even a single play that goes for 40-plus yards. Like those are killers and backbreakers. You can shut down. We've seen it on the other side with Derrick Henry. You can shut down a running back all game, but then that one time he gets through could be the difference in a game. So this run defense just has to make sure not to let any big plays go to any of these running backs. So yeah, I mean, again, Jaylen Brown on IR. So Will Compton, big time game for him, and Rashaan Evans too. I mean, would love to see a big splash play from Rashaan Evans. I like Rashaan Evans. I think he's a quality starting linebacker for us. But kind of like with Byard a little bit too, I'm kind of just still hoping for a big splash play from him instead of just, quietly getting their job done, seeing him make some tackles, but boom, force a fumble, pop up an interception, something like that. Would love to see that from one of those guys. But, as far as stopping the run and what the Colts do running the ball, I would kind of lean into the Titans getting this advantage. I don't know. What do you think?
I think we've seen this Titans defense we've seen the improvement of this Titans defense. If you take their day in Cincinnati, for instance, or, their day against Pittsburgh early, they did turn on late in that Pittsburgh game. But right when this kind of skid started, Justin, was Cincinnati. If you took the performance from Cincinnati and compared it to their performance last week against Baltimore, we've seen growth from this Titans defense. We've seen improvement. And that has come, it started with the run game. I think Jeffrey Simmons, Daquan Jones have been doing a great job in run stopping. We haven't seen those big gashing runs. J.K. Dobbins did have a couple last week, but on a less regular basis, I should say. And I feel like this passing defense is kind of starting to get there as well. I think, the game against Baltimore last week could be kind of a big stepping stone in their improvement. You saw, we mentioned, breaking up passes, being on their guys, not being, 2 yards behind or whatever. So we have seen improvement from this Titans defense. And I think this run defense is only going to get more solid. You would hope as the year goes on. That defensive line's been great, as I said, with Simmons and Jones. So I would either go push or maybe a slight Titans advantage. I mean, you're watching a Titans channel. Sorry if a Colts fan in the comments is going to be like, "Oh, look at the stats." But we've seen overall improvement from this Titans defense, even if you don't see it on paper per se.
Yeah, they're trending in the right direction. Yeah, it's a close one, but the bias of being a Titans channel, I think, gives us the edge. So I think we should get that check mark for sure.
I like it.
We're definitely not going to get this check mark. A big one, a big key player to watch is to see if he's going to be available is Brett Kern for this Titans special teams. Did come off a good game against the Ravens, but they've been so disastrous in the past that they have not fully made up for all of the mistakes they've committed. Hopefully we can get another good Stephen Gostkowski kicking game. Trevor Daniel was cut and then brought back to the practice squad. So that kind of tells you that we're still not sure if Brett Kern is going to be able to go. Mm-hmm. But you got to hope that he's able to do it, because I do not want to see Trevor Daniel on the same football field as a Colts player trying to get the ball away, because that was bad last time, man. So I don't know. What do you think? You got to feel better about the special teams right now, just a little bit.
I don't know about it. I'd have to see Stephen Gostkowski make 100 field goals in a row in a game situation to not bite my nails every time he trots onto the field. I think honestly a huge X factor in this game is if Brett Kern can come back and return to Brett Kern, levels of performance. Brett Kern was a weapon for this team. In years past, he's been able to flip the field immensely, put teams in hard situations inside the 10, inside the 5 a lot of times.
Just so many times he puts the ball right out of bounds at the 5-yard line, and there's nothing that the returner can do. He can't catch it or try to make a return. It falls, bam, bounces right on the 5-yard line. Yeah, a weapon, dude. A weapon for us. He's a huge punter for us there.
So if we can see him come back instead of, FedEx should have a lot of business coming up with the holidays. So they might need Trevor Daniel back. Maybe we could get a trade, some sort of reimbursement for his services he gave us, which were not very great, honestly. I'm not a big Trevor Daniel fan. We said it in the Baltimore recap. He only averaged 44, 45 yards a punt. Whereas, when Brett Kern's in there, he's booming 60-yarders nearly every time. So if Brett Kern can return back, that's going to be a big X factor. You don't really think of a punter as kind of a big weapon in a game, but this one especially. And, Trevor Daniel might have some head issues going into this one. Yeah. Seeing that Colts punt rush come at him, he might panic again. But we'll see. We'll see, man. Yeah. I have already said we're not getting a special teams advantage from here until the rest of the regular season at least. And I doubt even if, this team does make its way to the playoffs, which I think they will, that we'll get one there either. So I'm going to give the Colts the advantage here. But please, 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 every Titans fan should be hoping and praying and keeping their fingers crossed for a Brett Kern return this weekend.
Yes, that would be a huge advantage. The Colts are getting Jack Doyle, the best Titan killer of all time. But we could be getting back Brett Kern, so I think that could neutralize it. The best punter of all time, I think, is Brett Kern.
Matchup to watch: punter versus tight end. Very, very contested. Could sway the game.
Yeah, huge, just amazingly huge players for both teams. So yeah, I think they should get the advantage, obviously in special teams there. So you want to get to keys and matchup or keys to the game and score predictions here. What do the Titans have to do to split this season series, take first place in the division?
The Titans have to come just absolutely ready to play full 60 minutes of football. I know it might be cliche coach speak, whatever have you, but we've kind of yet to see the Titans put together a full 60-minute performance, maybe outside of the Buffalo game where they obviously ran away with that one. But we need to see the Titans defense come out early, get stops. Titans need to build a lead so then they can, in turn lean on Derrick Henry in the late quarters. When we see this Titans team get down and kind of pass happy, that's when you usually lose ball games, at least in the Tannehill Henry era. So I think it's play a full 60 minutes. And the second key is, I can't harp on it enough, this pass rush has to make Rivers uncomfortable. I know uncomfortable might be the word of the episode thus far, but they have to cause some kind of disruption back there, because we saw him pick us apart, almost the entire Thursday night game, and compiled with the special teams dysfunction, it was a recipe for disaster. And the Titans lost that game by 17 points. So, in order to kind of reverse that result, we need to see this pass rush get home, make Phillip Rivers panic a little bit, and maybe throw an interception or two. I think this defense has to force a turnover as well in this game in order for the Titans to win. That being said, I will take the Titans at Indy. I know Lucas Oil is where Titans dreams go to die.
Yeah.
But I like them in this game. I feel like Mike Vrabel's kind of gotten the wheels churning a little bit. You saw the fire in this team, being at Baltimore's midfield logo, talking smack, coming ready to play, coming fired up. And I think, this is it. This is kind of it in the AFC South, frankly. The Titans would need an immense amount of help after this game if they want the division title. Otherwise, they're duking it out with, the Clevelands and the Baltimores and the Las Vegas Raiders eye of the world. But anyways, I don't care about that wild card spot, Justin. This whole year, at least for me, was dependent on the Titans winning the division. If they can win the division, I like their chances. But this team has to come ready to play. I am going to take the Titans, and I'm going to take them, let's say, 34-24. 24. How about that?
Oh man, that's a solid. That's a 2-possession victory. 34 points on this Colts defense. I would love to see the offense pop off. Maybe Derrick Henry getting a late touchdown run at the end. I can see it.
I was gonna say that it's gonna be 27-24 late. The Titans are gonna get the ball back, try and ice it with a first down, and that's when we're gonna see the Derrick Henry home run, put it on ice, first place in the division. I'm so excited for this weekend, Justin. What do the Titans have to do in your eyes to get a win and hopefully fulfill your prediction?
Man, I initially was like, oh no, when you said you're picking the Titans, because I think the Titans do pretty well when you pick against them. So, I'm
going to say that for the picks video.
Okay, right on. My predictions, I do have a specific one for the defense, kind of going back to, they're limiting the big plays, and then also looking at this Colts offense and what Rivers did to us the first game, throwing it all over the field. And, you got to expect this Colts offense is going to dink and dunk their way down the field. It's going to happen. They're going to get 8 yards on a 3rd and 5, and you're going to want to pull your hair out because I'm sure they're going to get a lot of 3rd down conversions. I would be happy with a bend but don't break defense. I think this defense, as long as they tighten up in the red zone, tighten up, and force field goal attempts. There you go. Do this defense in the red zone. This is the key for you guys. Force them to force more field goals than allow touchdowns, for sure. Because this offense it's going to be tough to stop, and just how Rivers operates with that offensive line. I don't know if we mentioned they do have a couple big time offensive linemen that are questionable for this game, but totally expecting him to play for this. Quentin Nelson and Ryan Kelly, their center. But with this good offensive line, Rivers can sit back there and pick you apart. But as long as, saying it again, force the field goals in the red zone, it's going to be huge. And in limiting the big plays, kind of a side piece to the defensive key is to tackle and tackle well. Don't allow yak, because that's how this Colts passing offense can get big plays. Rivers isn't throwing 60-yard bombs down the field. He's throwing slants, and the receivers are finding a lane and taking it the distance. So wrap up and tackle once those completions are allowed. Make it hard for him. Make it hard for that offense to move the ball. And that's pretty much it. On offense and defense, I just don't want to see any turnovers. I know that's very or on offense and special teams. I think I said that. Offense and special teams, no turnovers. I don't know if blocked punts are technically considered turnovers in the books, or if I know 17-yard punts aren't considered turnovers in the books, but that's what they were. The special teams for sure had 2 turnovers in that first game. So, and I think didn't Tannehill throw an interception? I mean, I think we had at least 1 turnover on offense. It felt like it. So keep it simple. Offense, do your thing. Don't get shut out in the second half. I mean, that's not what this Titans offense is. So as long as, locking down the defense, offense, take care of the ball, do your thing, give the ball to Derrick Henry. Titans are going to win this one. I kind of got it a little more low scoring though. I got a 23-20 victory. I think the defense will do their job, and the offense things are going to be tough. Things will be tough going against the Colts defense, but they do enough in the second half, pull it out by 3. Titans win.
I like it.
First place.
I like it. I'll make sure to take my heart medication before that 23-20 ending there. Mine might be a little different, but I am interested to see, speaking of tightening up on defense, just one little last caveat. We saw the Colts unapologetically, with no fear, go for it on 4th down many a time in that Thursday night matchup. Yeah. And they didn't flinch at all. They set Brissett in there for, a couple of QB sneaks. They didn't flinch at all. So I'm interested to see if they bring that into this game as well, kind of not respecting this Titans defense. And the Titans defense did get 2 4th down stops, if I'm not mistaken, in that game. They did their job. Yeah. It's just those special teams gaffes. Going back to maybe the flukiness of that game, I thought the defense played well against this Colts offense, all things considered. I mean, you had the Colts get a short field and gifted 7 points. But we'll see how it goes. If we do get in those 4th down scenarios, crucial to lock down and get those stops. So we'll see how it goes. I'm feeling good. Maybe after talking about it a little bit, Justin, my confidence level's maybe at a 7 now.
Oh man, that's what Titans Tube does, man. You kind of feeling down, and we'll just bring you up a notch on the scale of 1 to 10. 6 to 7, I'll take it.
Perfect.
I think I am too. Yeah, it feels better to get the nerves off a little bit. The butterflies are lessening now. Just kind of talk about it, and you start feeling good about it. You coming off a big win in Baltimore, on the road again, and then we got a big game against Cleveland next week. So
Yep.
I don't know. The games are getting excited. It's now starting to get like I want to play that game on ESPN where like if this team wins and this team wins, like the playoff predictor game thing, or not a game, but clicking through the different scenarios and what needs to happen and what the Titans can do or can't do in the playoff hunt. But yeah,
I have,
love it.
I have, yeah, perfect. I have heard about that ESPN playoff simulator. And, you know, Justin, if this team wins on Sunday, you won't even have to really mess with it. Honestly.
Yeah,
I'm going to go that far into saying that, you know, if this Titans team takes care of business like they did on the road against Baltimore, and if they can go on the road against Indy this weekend in a pretty much division deciding game, I think they have enough to control their own destiny down the road. And especially, you know, the Colts don't have that easy of a schedule coming up. I would say the Titans have a more favorable matchup. But if the Titans do lose on Sunday, the AFC South hopes are all but gone. So we'll see. I'm going to go out on a limb and say if the Titans win this weekend, they will win the AFC South. No doubt in my mind, barring some catastrophic Tannehill injury, Derrick Henry injury. We don't even want to talk about it. We don't even want to say it. We don't even want to go there.
Knock on wood.
Knock on wood.
Yes.
So yeah. Hopefully we won't even have to play with the playoff simulator.
Hey, look, and I will say this, whether the Titans win or the Colts win, this may not be the last time we see the Indianapolis Colts. If it's a 4 seed versus 5 seed in the playoffs, one of these teams could be the top wild card slot and the 4th seeded division winner. That could totally play out and happen as well. So who knows? Maybe it could be just the second of 3 matchups. So, but I think you're right. I think the division definitely is going to be wrapped up, I think, if the Colts win again, because the 2-game lead with the tiebreaker is going to be tough with just 4 games left after that. So I don't know. Yeah, but hopefully, the Titans can take this game and run away with it and get that home field advantage for the 3rd matchup against these pesky Colts that never go away. They're never bad for long enough. They're the only team that's not bad for a long period of time, and I hate it.
Hey, and even when they are atrociously bad, you'll trot Matt Hasselbeck into Lucas Oil and he'll fumble away the playoff hopes. So this Colts team never goes away, and I'm looking forward to a really good, really kind of close matchup on Sunday. I can't wait. It's gonna be so much fun. Really exciting. Hopefully the Titans can come out on the winning side. That would make it a lot more fun.
I'm ready for revenge. Let's get it. Tighten up. Hey guys, if you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe. That's all we got for this preview video. Enjoy the game. Enjoy the rest of your Thanksgiving weekend. Jake, you got anything else? Take us out.
You know, I like to say like, comment, subscribe, all that jazz. You said it best, Justin. So no worries. Just tighten up. This is a winnable game. I think Vrabel is going to have him ready, even though he is a blockhead in my eyes. He's going to have him ready, and just it's exciting. We're getting close to December football. I know this game isn't technically December football, but we're getting there.
Feels like it.
So tighten up. Let's go take the lead in the division. Peace out, y'all, and have a great weekend.